friends. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another episode of Money Matters. My name is Nev, and today is Tuesday, December 9th. So we are slowly but surely approaching the 2021. We still have a few more weeks left. We're still waiting for some of the stimulus and all kinds of other things to come in. But we do have some very important news today, and one of that is, like the title says, there's a new commodity that has entered a market space, and I believe you should be petrified and worried about it. I will be disclosing to you exactly what that is, and of course, at the end of it, you can let me know if you think that you should or should not be petrified. I personally am. We're also going to talk about some security checks or thefts that have happened from technology that affect many different individuals and many different companies. We're going to be taking a look at the treasury yields and what's going on, and what one of the most well-known CEOs in the United States has to say about it. Well, I was going to say prominent, but I was like, I don't know that I would call him that. And that's going to be the show for today. So I'm super excited that you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Do sign in, say hello, and let's do this. All right, y'all. We're not gonna waste any time whatsoever. We're gonna jump straight into the markets and see what's going on. So, as you can see, S&P 500 it is up slightly, and it's ticking on up. Nasdaq 100 is slightly down. Down is slightly up. This is really weird. Typically, you don't have Nasdaq down while S&P and Dow are up. At least not in today's day and era. But here we are. We have Russell is up as well. Dollar index is down and it's still going down. And Bitcoin, well, Bitcoin is going down and it's currently trading at $18,297.27. And let's take a look at the market from CoinGecko when it comes to the cryptos as well. As you can see, sea of red. Not a whole lot of positive stuff. A lot of it has been losing. This is a second day in a row that we are seeing this. Bitcoin is at $18,284.16. Ethereum is down to $562.68. Both are down. Bitcoin is actually down almost 3% for the day, and Ethereum is 2.2%. XRP is down, but then again, I think XRP is. I have personal opinions about XRP, and to quote Jamie Dimon, I wouldn't touch it with the 10-foot pole. So, and I have my reasons. LTC is down almost 5%. BCH down 3.2%. Link down 2.7. Dot is the only shiny dot in this top 100 that we're looking at that is on the plus side of positive 0.3%. HADA down 3.3. I mean, it's just down. It's just down. Okay. When we look at the biggest winners, and there's like maybe two. EGLD is up 7.3% over the course of 24 hours. Theta is up 7.1%. Then you have all LRC that is up 4.7. MAID MAID up 3.1. NEAR 2.6. HT 1.5. Cell 0.9. I mean, yeah. And then it goes into again 0.0 something. As people say, I wouldn't even bend over on the street to pick it up. That's how low it is. So we're not even. Yeah. And then on the losing end, I mean, you can see that everything is in the red. Well, predominantly in the red. The biggest loser is Amplify, which dropped below $1, currently trading at 96.45 cents, and it's down 17.2% in the 24 hours. After that, we enter single digits, and again, nothing on the super big losing end, nothing on the super big gaining end, and so that's kind of where the market is. All right, y'all. Let's jump into the news and take a look at what's going on. First, on the chopping block, so to speak, I guess, is the MicroStrategy. Now, you know that we talked about it yesterday, that they said, well, they're going to raise $400, through the bonds and buy more Bitcoin. And the question is, did the idea backfire? And I did already say, I'm like, that seems a bit risky to me. He's going to either be a genius or an idiot. There is no escaping this one. And it turns out that it might be backfiring now for a moment, because what happened is that because of his obsession, when I say his, I'm talking about the CEO, Michael Saylor, Citi decided to actually downgrade. Citibank downgraded MicroStrategy, which led the shares to actually start falling for the business, and they closed down 14% in one day. And so that's one of the interesting things. And they did quote basically saying that, hey, these folks are getting a little bit too crazy on the Bitcoin end of things. They are moving away from their core business component, and they were just sort of not liking that whole component. So it potentially, we'll see how it's going to turn out, right? But right now the markets are, as you can see, the crypto markets are down, the technology market is down. So we'll see how it all turns out. But there's additional pieces to also think about and consider. Now, FireEye is a cyber intelligence, cybersecurity firm, and they stated that they have been hacked by a state-sponsored hackers to come in and steal their tools. FireEye is one of the largest cybersecurity firms in the U.S., says it believes it's been a victim of state-sponsored hacking attacks that sought the theft of internal tools it uses to conduct penetration testing for other companies. And they are basically saying that this was highly intelligent attack. It was highly coordinated attack. It was unlike anything else they have experienced, and they believe that it has to do with right, like with the state-sponsored sort of attack. They're saying this is too good not to be sponsored by the state. Of course, they're saying there's also no evidence yet to suggest the tools have been used in the wild, or that whoever was behind the attack was able to obtain any client data. FireEye has shared countermeasures that can detect or block the use of stolen tools, and those countermeasures are publicly available on GitHub, and folks can just grab them. And they are working with Microsoft and FBI to uncover who did this. Now, they're saying this is coming from New York Times, and they're pointing out that the largest known to date cybersecurity theft of tools was when the National Security Agency was hacked by a group known as the Shadow Brokers, and out of that hack came the WannaCry ransomware, right? And that's the ransomware that pretty much makes you want to cry. And I think they're brilliant in the marketing spectrum of things. So they have developed the WannaCry from stealing things from NSA. So it's kind of interesting that we're developing all these technologies on one side to protect us, right? And then you have the hacker who comes in, takes all of the protection. It's kind of like, I have the secret key for the vault that you're building, and I'm going to build my own vault around it and be able to build for, to be able to actually make money from it, and probably not in the nicest of the ways. Speaking of making money not of the nicest of the ways, that brings me to one of the very popular companies, and that's JP Morgan. Well, they have been around for over a century. They have been around for very, very, very long time, and they have had their hands in cookie jars all over the place. Some cookie jars were really nice, some not so much. They do have a way of getting themselves caught manipulating things and having to pay the bills that are as big as small countries' government budget for the year. But JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon said that he wouldn't touch treasuries with a 10-foot pole. So what is going on? What is going on? Jamie Dimon is seeing bubbles in certain segments of financial markets, and he's saying that the bubble is in the U.S. government bonds, out of all things. Now, he also did say that he doesn't believe that there's a bubble at all in the market, in the stock market. He's saying there might be a bubble in small parts of the stock market, but not all of it. And I disagree. I disagree yet again because I believe he has an interest of why, of course, you don't want to be the CEO of a largest bank in the world that causes the panic around it. But anyways, so what is he saying, and why is he saying I'm not doing anything with treasuries? Diamond stance is that because of ultra low interest rate prevailing throughout the globe, including the sub-zero rates to the tune of some 17 trillion. Well, we know it's 17.3 from yesterday's show. That he's basically saying he doesn't want to touch it because the bond prices are rising as the yield continue to fall, and he's saying it doesn't make sense for him. It's a bubble. But this has been happening for decades now. Yields have been falling for decades, and I guess we have been in a bond bubble for decades then. The 10-year Treasury note has been attempting to scale towards a yield of 1%, but has been beaten back persistently as investors pile into sovereign debt, spurred by a host of worries. Equity markets across the globe have rebounded mightily, but bonds remain richly priced by some measures, holding yields at an uncharacteristically low levels despite the rally in stocks. Now, what this means is that we typically see that when stocks kind of go up, then the yields kind of go up with it, the prices of the bonds fall, and we see sort of this alignment with the market. This is we've talked about it yesterday or day before yesterday, where we've seen this massive misalignment within the economy, within the markets. And this is just another way, just another metric that is showing that there is misalignment happening within the market. It is not normal for the stocks to go up and the yields to continue to go down, for the bonds to go up in prices. That is not normal. It's not normal for the dollar to go down in tandem with gold. That's not normal. So what are we to think about the whole thing? Well, typically when we've seen divergence like this, the bond market actually has been accurate one. So maybe the bond market is trying to tell us that stocks are in the wrong and that the bonds are in the right, which if that is the truth, then the stock market should be coming down in a relatively speaking near future, and then the bonds are going to be right, the stocks are going to be wrong. What is also going to happen is that we could see at that moment then gold start to go up, at which point, right, the world might go back to normal yet again. If that was to happen, of course, we can see that in the short term, Bitcoin could potentially continue to slide on down. But, depending on how things roll out, we could see potentially that it will actually start picking up steam and going up in price. It's just really hard to tell. When in March everything turned down, I mean everything turned down. Bonds crashed, gold crashed, dollar crashed, Bitcoin crashed, equity crashed, housing market crashed. I mean everything crashed. So is it possible that we could see that as well? Yes, it's absolutely possible. Is it possible it's not going to come for years? Yes, that too is possible, as weird as that sounds for me to say out loud, but we have seen it, that the markets can stay way more unrational for way longer than anybody can say solvent. So it's something for the short sellers to also be very, very worried about and paying attention to. So that's basically what he's saying. He's saying he doesn't want to invest in the bonds because it is overpriced, and in his humble opinion, well, it is. It's in a bubble. It's in a bubble, and he doesn't want to own it. And for same reason, I think that the stocks are in a bubble. I don't want to touch them. So there's that, right? We can agree on something, I guess. If you believe something is a bubble, don't want to invest into it, then don't. Now we're going to jump into and talk about what's going on in the state of New York. Actually, to be more specific, city of New York in the Big Apple. Well, Big Apple is having challenges of its own, and one of it has to do with its transportation. The transport system has been losing money, and they have been losing money for forever, and now they want more money sent to them. So they have come up with a scheme, and the scheme is to charge every New Yorker who decides to purchase things online to pay an additional $3 surcharge for package delivery under the new bill. So they are looking at paying $3 surcharge for online packages deliveries to aid the failing Metropolitan Transportation Authority (MTA). And of course, they're saying that, hey, look, we'll be able to raise a lot of money for MTA and who knows, something else. And it's only going to cost individuals $3 per package. Like, what's the big deal? And you know what? This is very, very good for everything, because if we charge people to order things online and get them delivered, so you're going to get taxes on deliveries now. Wait for it, this is coming, not just to New York City, but to the town near you. Because they're saying, well, excuse me, we need to encourage people to buy small, right? We need to encourage people to go to the small shops around the corner as opposed to order stuff on Amazon. Well, while I do agree with that piece, right, and I am all for shopping small and supporting small businesses, I also know that when I'm looking for really random, like, gadget stuff, it's so much quicker and faster for me to jump online and see if I can find it when I don't even know what the heck it's called and I have to look for it, than to go from store to store to store to store for, like, 7 days straight trying to figure out if I can find it and who might carry this random thing that I might be looking at. So again, now you're looking at something that used to be relatively affordable to turn into pretty darn expensive. They're also saying, well, look, we also have Macy's and we have all these Bloomingdale's and all these shopping malls. Why are people needing to use Amazon or anybody else anyways? We have everything in here, so just use that. You just got to go out there and do it. But of course, people are afraid to go outside today, and some of the places are just closed. They're not even open. So if I could order something from a place where I don't have to go outside, freeze my butt off, potentially catch something, why wouldn't I do it, right? And that's what people are doing. But they're saying, well, we could use this money. We could use this money. So we're just going to charge folks. So we'll see how this is going to play out. Nobody really knows where this thing is going to go, but it is an interesting piece to be paying attention to. All right, now we come to the meat of the presentation, conversation, introduction, and, the episode as a whole. And it has to do with one particular resource that I believe should belong to every single individual, regardless whether they are rich or poor, young or old, live in east side, west side, north side, south side, or center of the universe. We all have equal rights to this resource, in my humble opinion. However, today, or actually not today, earlier this week, today is what? Wednesday, so 2 days ago, I guess. This precious resource is no longer available for free for everybody, because for the first time in history of humanity, Wall Street begins trading water futures as a commodity. This is beyond scary to me, and this is something that should be scary to you as well. The country's first water market launched on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange this week with $1.1 billion in contracts tied to water prices in California. And while right now it is California, I believe that this is something that is going to expand more and more and more, and we're going to start controlling each other's water supply. This is something that some of the more prominent investors and educators within the space have been talking for years and have been calling for individuals to really pay attention to this stuff, and it turns out that they are absolutely right. Climate change, droughts, population growth, and pollution are likely to make water scarcity issues and pricing a hot topic for years to come. This is coming from RBC Capital Markets Managing Director and Analyst Dean Dre. We are definitely going to watch how this new water futures contract develops. Prominent proponents argue that the new market will clear up some of the uncertainty around water prices for farmers and municipalities, helping them budget. However, the experts say that treating water as a tradable commodity puts a basic human right into the hands of financial institutions and investors, which is a dangerous arrangement. And I absolutely agree. This is the most petrifying news I have had and have read and have heard about in a very, very long time, and it makes me incredibly worried. And most people are going to not even hear about it, they're going to brush it off, and we're only going to be dealing with it when it's a bit too late. Now, I know that we have commoditized just about everything under the sun. The water being a commodity is beyond scary because when you have a handful few who have a ton of wealth, and those exist even today, that's right, they have gotten richer, their days have gotten longer and shorter in that matter. And, you would have a few people that would squeeze the market, making the cost of water unsustainably high and unaffordably high for most of the folks. So here you go. This is one of the things that is very scary, and perhaps it could be one of the investment things to get into. Not a financial advice. I don't provide those on this channel, but something for you to think about. And to finish today's episode, we're going to go over towards the individuals who are worried about their investment, about their retirement, and whether they will ever be able to retire. So, this particular article comes to us and says, quote, half of Americans with incomes over $100,000 fear they'll never retire. Falling short financially in retirement is a major concern among working Americans. In fact, in a recent survey of U.S. adults aged 40 to 65 with annual household income of at least $100,000, a surprising 50% said they're worried they won't ever be able to retire. Now, this is an interesting piece for me personally when I read it, is because, you have so many people that are not even close to that $100,000. So if you have 50% of Americans who are earning above $100,000 that are not thinking that they would be able to retire, what are the rest of the folks who are below that component thinking as well? That's an interesting piece that I would personally like to know. But of course, they're saying, well, here's some of the things. If you're sharing the fears and stuff, here's some of the things and here's some of the changes that you can potentially make and consider making. So, one, identify an expense to cut back on. They're saying one expense to cut back on. I would say a slew of expenses. If you're earning $100,000 a year or more and can't manage to squeeze out retirement plan contribution, it could be that your budget is failing you or you're not budgeting. And if you're anything like me, like Nev, then you don't like budgets at all, and that is perfectly fine. And here is the secret that I use. Whenever I get paid, a portion of the money goes into a special account right away before I ever get it that is meant for investing. It's called a capital account. And a portion of it that I set, whether that's 1%, 4%, 10%, 50%, whatever it is that you want to set, it goes directly into the capital, and then the capital gets invested into the capital, meaning that before I ever receive that money, it gets separated automatically, and I do that on the back end when I work with my employer, or if you are getting paid through the business, then just set it up that automatically it sweeps out. So every time you get paid, a small portion of your income goes into the investment account. It's just a separate bank account that gets swept automatically, and then from there you can just set up an automatic purchases into your favorite investment vehicle. Or, if you need to hold on to it, then that's fine, and then buy in bulk if you're doing something like real estate where 4% of your salary won't be able to get you much of anything at the beginning. So that's number one thing. They're basically also saying that you could look into potentially scaling where your money is going. So as I always say, you want to make sure that you know where is your money going. Most people, when they're struggling, when they're having the money problems, even with the increase of an income, they are struggling because they don't know where their money is going. So my question to you is, where is your money going? That is the most important question that you need to understand. So simply go back, take a look at your credit card statements or your debit card statements, and if you're using cash, then just carry a little notebook and write down where is your money going. You need to understand what are you spending it on to be able to understand where can you even cut if cutting is something that makes sense. But if you are earning above $100,000 and you're struggling, perhaps reconsidering stuff. Now, I also do want to talk about something very important they're not talking about in this article, but we are got to talk about it because it is very important. What I have also found is that typically people catch themselves in this middle income class of they make right around 100,000, maybe slightly above 100,000, and of course now they feel like they have to impress friends and other family members and the neighbors and the kids parents and whomever, and so they have to keep up the airs, and they realize that certain things are too expensive, but now you cannot say no because it's just too embarrassing. So folks, you're going to have to come to terms to that. I can't give you an advice whatsoever, nor am I going to, but you have an option. You have an option to find yourself financially independent and financially, sustainable for both short and long term, but it's going to cost you a little bit of your pride today, or you can hold on to your pride, stress at night, age yourself prematurely, give yourself prematurely all kinds of diseases, and find yourself not being able to retire. And if you do, you're going to have some sort of side job, likely as a Walmart greeter, which, in my humble opinion, is worse. Not because it's embarrassing to be a Walmart greeter, but because it's going to be very challenging being 80 some years old, standing outside with probably a face mask and a face shield, issuing out wipes to a 15-year-old brat who is going to call you grandpa and basically run you over with their cart. So, something to think about when you're thinking about what is embarrassing, what is not embarrassing. Please do understand that those people could care less about you. When you're up, they of course want to be your friend. When you're down, see how many respond to your call. Again, just my humble opinion. Invest aggressively. Well, I do agree. They're saying you don't need to invest a ton of money each month into a retirement plan, but you do need to invest yourself for a long time and saving window, giving yourself as much time as humanly possible, and of course, investing aggressively. So, if you're only 5 years away from the retirement, that's going to make it much more difficult because you're going to need to do way more aggressive and way more money. But if you start investing in your 20s, then you have a much longer time period and you can actually invest less and still be able to get yourself to the point where you're doing just fine. And here they're actually quoting one particular piece. Imagine you're 40 years old and you want to retire at age 67. That would give you 27 years, and if you contribute $300 a month to the retirement and put it predominantly in stocks, as they're saying, plan on getting an average of about 8% return. They're saying you will save, you will come to close to $315,000. Now, if you're able to make it $500 a month, again, same 27 years, 8% on average return, you're looking at $524,000 instead. Of course, there are other methods to invest in rather than just stocks, and you're able to do that. The problem comes in when we're talking about the retirement accounts themselves, that certain things are not as easy and maybe not the best done within the retirement account. So your retirement account predominantly allows you to get into mutual funds, which I'm not crazy about personally because of the risk and the returns that you get. But again, I do understand that that is the only option. The other options that you have is, of course, you can go and start your own fund and just basically put your money into an independent IRA, whether Roth or regular traditional, and then invest in whatever stocks and bonds you want. You can go into the self-directed IRA, which gives you an ability to then get into precious metals with your IRA, as well as Bitcoin and some of the other crypto. You can go and basically forego the IRA altogether if you want to. Just, there's some tax benefits or the lack thereof, and consider investing in real estate. And then, of course, you can do a combination of all of these different things and consider how you're going to do it. Finally, you can also think through this can be done within an IRA. So, like a real estate, it's going to be done outside of IRA. But starting a business, and then potentially, if you can start a business while you work full time, whatever proceeds of the business that you can feed back into the business and into the investment, and then use the investment money to actually support your living, and then use the income from the job to actually support and grow it. And the longer you can keep multiple things going, the more wealth you can accumulate faster, which gives you an ability to actually even faster get to that retirement piece, if that is something that you want to do. Number three that they're saying is alter your retirement plans. If you've been earning $100,000 or more per year for quite some time, you may have a hard time imagining what it would be like to live on $40,000 or $50,000 a year instead. But it can be done. Don't give up on retirement, and I agree, it can absolutely be done. You just got to start scaling back now and figuring out what that looks like. The other very popular choice, however, not many people engage into it, but I think it's an excellent choice to consider, is to look at the cost of living around the world and potentially consider expatriating. Now, I know a lot of people, when they would talk about retirement, they were like, but I want to be close to the kids. And the kids are like, yeah, I don't want to be close to them at all. Like, I want to live my own life. And so, yes, you want to be close to the kids, you want to be close to the grandkids, and sometimes you want to be close there to assist with the newborns and all of that stuff. But I think at the end of the day, if if you only have $500,000, and that $500,000 is going to last you, say, 10 years in the U.S. because you're trying to live on $50,000 in the U.S., you're going to run out of funds before you run out of time, unfortunately. Or you could consider moving somewhere where the cost of living is way cheaper, where maybe it costs you $5,000 or $10,000 a year to live just as good, if not even a better lifestyle than 50 in U.S. All of a sudden now you have yourself, I don't know, 10 years, right? 5 years, like you're buying yourself way more time in the retirement. And again, I know that there's this thing about the retirement when people are saying like, oh, well, I'm just going to play golf and sit on the beach and fish. And that sounds lovely, but you're going to need to come up with something else to do to keep this puppy occupied, because when you don't have this occupied and you're not working actively on anything, that's when you see a deterioration of your biggest asset and muscle, and I am talking about your brain, you dirty birds. So there you go. That's it for today. I hope you have enjoyed the show. I hope you have learned something. If you have, please do me a favor and smash the like button if there is such a button anywhere around you. Subscribe to this particular show if you are liking it, and I will see you tomorrow. Until then, stay forever money blessed, and do remember, you are only one.